Creamy spud. Oh my goodness me.
Creamy spud. Talking of creamy spuds, welcome to episode 68. Another episode of the Tea and Trails podcast. I don't know which way this is going to go because we're both in silly moods, Gary.
As soon as that record button is pressed already, I get very serious. This week, we are joined by Carmine De Grandis, who recently took on a national 3-peak challenge carrying his accordion and using public transport too. I wonder if the public transport was more challenging than the actual mountains. We see what you've been up to on Strava, share a Tales from the Trails, and we have a pair of Suntour Wing headphones to give away. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Raise your hands. Ooh, ooh. So much going on. Talking of so much going on over at Patreon, let's thank our partners who share their discount codes every week. We have Precision Fuel and Hydration, Velo Forte, Protein Rebel, Tiki Boo, Mountain Fuel, Outdoor Active, Silver Sweden, Active Route, The Centurion Running Store, Sportshoes.com, Big Bubble Hats, X-Mars, Fallside Farm Cottages, Yugoku Projects, Hellfire Events, Red Bear Sports, The Albonat, Retainer Group Cycle Protection, Summit Crazy, Beat It Sports, Lumi Activewear, Phoenix Lights, and Ultra Trail 2. Extra shout out to Precision Fuel and Hydration, Velo Forte, Beat It Sports, and Protein Rebel. We use their products every month to help fuel, hydrate, and recover. If you'd like to save some money with any of those product merchandise, support the podcast, support Gary and our partners, please consider joining Patreon. We couldn't do this without you guys. Also, why not pop over to Summit Crazy if you'd like to buy some awesome, Gary is modelling it today. You were wearing that last time we talked, a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
You dirty rat, as I say to the kids when I go upstairs. What is that, you dirty rat?
It's okay. I'll get away with it.
Anyway, pop over to Summit Crazy if you'd like to buy some awesome Tea and Trails merch.
Thank you to Precision Fuel and Hydration and Silver Sweden for sponsoring this week's show. Super grateful for your support, and don't forget to pop over to Precision Fuel and Hydration, book in with a sports scientist, read some case studies, or use their handy fuel planner. Lots of awesome stuff over at precisionhydration.com.
If you're a patron, you get 15% off over at Precision Fuel and Hydration. God, we say that a lot, don't we? It's Precision Fuel and Hydration, guys. Anyone can get 15% off with their first order with the code CAPSLOCK T24. Gary, there's going to come a day where we can't read all those Patreon partners out because we are the bandwidth, as you keep saying to me.
I've thought about this, yes, because the intro does get longer and longer and longer. But I think some of the partners probably really like having a shout out. And that is probably the only time we really give some of them a shout out.
I'm not saying we wouldn't do it. I'm just saying it's long. But also, I kind of like a familiar intro to a podcast because you're not out the door, you're shouting at the kids, don't touch anything, don't call me unless it's an emergency.
Yeah, you're getting the GPS, you're tying your shoelaces.
Putting the dogs on the lead, you're checking you got your poo bags, and so you're not, you're just getting sorted, and you go familiar words, our familiar, luscious voices are just tickling into your ears.
Oh, I struck gold the other day on a dog walk. Someone had dropped their poo bags, so I profited from somebody's. George and I had a really long conversation about, my goodness me, when their dog decides to go to the toilet, no poo bags.
You ever had to do the leaf?
No.
Never? Oh my God.
I picked up somebody else's poo by accident once. It was cold. I thought,
Well, we don't need to stop this, but let's just say I've used the leaf many times, really, for the lift and chuck. Anyway,
chuck.
How you doing?
Ooh, super easy week. I have done a few runs, so more mindful than last week, but nothing more than an hour enjoying the treats and beer. Still, I had a beer after Thirsty Thursday too. I love the post-race catch-up, and especially when it goes well. Yeah, you can bask in those miles that you've put in. Yeah, it was nice. We were recovering and some people were on a taper. So yeah, pretty chilled out. Some nice, easy miles. Nobody was pulling up any trees on Thursday. Lots of sandbagging chat, though. I keep bumping into people, and rightly so. Yeah, calling me out. I'll own that. I can take that. And
Don't stop it, everybody now, you old.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't mind. And a new call sign, Robbo. Years and years and years ago, I'm obsessed with this Lakeland 100 call sign. Every week I've got a new one, but he used to call me Yogi because basically I would eat everything and anything. I think Yogi, that's got a good ring to it for a call sign.
I still think Heavy Flex.
Heavy Flex.
Not one that, it just describes you perfectly.
And I got the email from Green Runners, so I need to update my pledge. Travel still a big one for me, and I can do that. I don't want to be like ambiguous and vague with these pledges. Travel a bit less. I need to make some hard lines. I can't really do kit anymore because I do so many kit reviews. Yeah, I'd get called out pretty quick if I said about kit. But yeah, 100%, car share. No overseas races. That's relatively easy because I'm not really planning on any of those. Yeah, just be super mindful with the journeys. Food-wise, I could eat a lot less red meat. So maybe cut that down to 1 day a week for the red meat. And speaking out, I'm not prolific on social media. For me, speaking out, I'm not an activist. Even when I've been part of a political party, I've never really gone up and demonstrated. So that is not me, but we are lucky with this platform that we can share green runners and other green elements of running. And we do have a page on our website for green runners. So there's the lace ups or pair ups, if you want to repair your footwear, and a few other links there for green initiatives to do with running. So yeah, speak up for the podcast, travel, and red meat. That is going to be my pledge. And I've also got mouse shoulder. I'm not too sure if that's a thing.
Oh, that was a one show total switch. Then I was well into like the green runners, and I was like, yeah, good on you, Gary. And then you went, I've also got a mouse shoulder.
Mouse shoulder, yeah. I think I do so. It's a hard pivot.
Heavy pivot from heavy legs.
I do so much editing, and it's time behind the computer. It could be completely just unconnected with this, but my right shoulder, quite painful for 6 months maybe. Not painful, that's an exaggeration. Feels like I pulled a muscle, and I think it could just be too much time behind the computer. So I've got some little contraption from Amazon to hopefully take some pressure off the shoulder.
Show it to me. What is it?
I can't. It's clamped onto the table. It looks like some kind of brace. Yeah, we will give that a go. I'll report back. I've had new pillows, tried to lie my back, and now this is the last resort before I stump up some cash and go and see the physio. All out. This will be totally not on your TV radar.
Enjoy this next segment.
Amazon Prime Fallout. It's pretty great. It's a stretch. 15 certificates. That is a stretch. It's kind of like Mad Max, post-nuclear war.
Oh,
it's
based on a video. Mad Max.
Yeah, you like. Oh well, you'd like.
But he's not. That's not really violent, is it? He's just hot Mel Gibson coming out of life.
Wow, if they made Mad Max today, it would be super violent.
It'd be awful, wouldn't it? With CGI. Oh.
Yeah. So it's good. Amazon Prime. If you're an Amazon user and you like that kind of
I'm not going to do it, Gary.
I'm not going to do it.
Guarantee that it won't be. What's it called? Grim.
No, Fallout. It's based on a video. I'm pretty sure. I've never played the game, but I'm pretty sure it's based on a video game. So I have to say, all in all, a little bit of running when I wanted, a lot of walks with Rex, a few beers with mates, some nice tea. It's like family TV. We're all luckily, it's all age appropriate, but it's nice to sit and watch TV programs together as a family. Oh yeah, we're back on Below Deck too.
We are so behind on Below Deck because it's holidays, and so the kids are staying up late, and it's just not quite. Our kids are a bit younger than yours.
There's a guy called Gary in it, which I thought that name was dead for people under my age, but no, the South African
character. He's quite a character.
Hilarious. Yeah. He likes the ladies. Oh, we are. 2 peas in a pod. But yeah, I've had a great week. I can't.
Oh, that's lovely. Let's bring it down with Eddie's week.
What about yourself?
Oh, it's fine, Gary. There's a couple of things which are making it harder. Not being at school. No, I love that. We're having a lovely holidays. The come down from what is it? Decompression from skiing. We're in the second week now, so they're a little calmer. They're finding some things to do. We've done a lot of hiking, which has been lovely. One thing I've been gifted with, I was thinking about it today. Have I been gifted, or is it just because we've always done it? We've always walked with the kids. Right, yep. We've got a million photos of them in backpacks. Actually, the middle one never went in the backpack because he was walking from when he was 2 weeks old. And because we've got dogs, there's always a dog walk somewhere in the day. So they're really good at hiking. They're really because also I take a 30-litre rucksack full of snacks. We actually have a designated Ziploc snack bag that lives in this bag. And they each have to have 4 snacks. So for the actual energy expenditure, which is a chocolate bar, a chocolate roll, a compote, which is like French love, they're like squeezy fruit.
Yeah.
And then just a chocolate bar. So that's just your average snack just for the 2-hour walk.
I've got some lovely memories of trail snacks. I remember going to Fairfield with George and we just hunkered down behind a crag because it was a bit breezy. We bought some cheap pasties from Ambleside and we just munched on those before I took him down the fell, and he's never forgiven me.
Well, mine are just absolute fell. What is it? Fell fairies. Fell fairies, is that a compliment? They are ninjas. I can't keep up.
Yes.
I can't keep up. They are so fast. And then they'll suddenly appear up a tree, or they got no. And sometimes the paths at the moment are a bit sketchy because the snow is still on the paths, or they've not been like walked on for a while, and there's like mudslides and all. They are not bothered. Anyway, they're great company. The only thing is, we go hiking for like the quiet, the peace. Let's listen to the river. Let's see the eagles. They're on, as Bryn would say, permanent set. The noise, they do not stop.
I love it.
Oh, I've loved it. So we've had a lot of the, but it's absolutely freezing, Gary. It's not stopped snowing for about 3 days, but it's not like heavy snow. We had that last week. It's like, I'm not sure it's coming from the sky. It's like there's this really cold, bitter wind, and it's just like blowing the snow around. It's not joyful.
It's like Narnia where you live.
It's exactly like Narnia. It is freezing. So it's not making my recovery very good because I'm constantly in a mild state of hypothermia. I've been back to the gym. Before the gym, I went skiing. We did our last season ski. We were lucky. It snowed. It was freezing. This is just a theme. We had loads of snow. So the kids had their like end of season club ski party. They had to dress up like a retro fancy dress.
Yes.
Their retro fancy dress was hilarious. I'm not going to buy anything. I don't do that because buy something off Amazon they're going to wear once because I'm like, no, you're not going to remember what you wore next week. So just go up to your bedrooms and find stuff. So they wore like these old jeans and like tartan shirts and stuff. And then they wore like our old baseball caps and old sunglasses. They did actually just look like people from about 10 years ago going skiing. It was hilarious.
That's retro.
And they all got to do a ski race together, which was brilliant. It's the Sutton kids. I think there was quite a lot of shouting and hold your own, hold the line. We were meant to ski with them. It was meant to be like the whole family ski down together, but they wouldn't let me or Bryn ski with them. They were like, no. I know. I was very happy. I wasn't skiing those gates. I don't think I'd get around one of them.
Just going a straight line.
So I did a few. So there was a lot of powder. So the skiing was quite hard skiing. Not in the powder. That was easy. That was lovely. But the minute I had to like actually turn and put pressure into my boots and on my skis, my feet were not happy, Gary. And I haven't touched wood. I didn't fall over the whole season. And I went absolutely flying because I hit some ice and I just couldn't put my skis dig in. My feet were just too sore. So Bryn said, I think it's time.
Be careful, Eddie, on those skis.
Well, I gotta be careful. It's fine. So I had taken my trainers up and I spent the rest of the day standing at the bottom of the piece in my trainers. But I was so happy I had my trainers because I thought, if I'd been in my ski boots, I'd have just been standing in a corner rocking, going, oh, my feet are so bad. And then, yes, I went back to the gym. It took I'm not lying, a bit of motivation, Gary. I was not finding the slot. The kids are still on holiday, so I haven't really got the slot. So finding the slot. So I booked the gym at 7 a.m. and said to the kids,
book it. Ooh.
I'm going to go. So it won't be here when you wake up, but I'll be done probably before you wake up anyway. And then they were like, woke up and they're like, Mum, you're here. I was like, yeah, that 7 o'clock, that motivation was not there. That's cool. It doesn't have to be. But I went back today. I had some really basic movement stuff to do. No weight. So no weights. And I started doing the bench press with like my normal weight, thinking it will be fine because I'm doing less reps. So it'll be fine. But I did like 6 and I was like shaking. I was like, this is not what this is meant to be. This is meant to be nice.
Yeah.
Movement, swallow your eat. There wasn't even anyone in the gym. There was anyone in there. I was like, put those back and go and get a lighter one. Eddie, you idiot. Every exercise I did, I'm only explaining this because if people do the same, I'm hoping that people will feel better. I'd start off and I'd go, oh no, that's not good. Reverse lunges. I was like, oh no, that's not good. Balance is really bad. I was stiff. And then I'd do some more. And then by the end, I'd be like, yes.
I don't mind this time though, because I've knocked the weights right down for the gym. I quite like it. I don't feel bad, if it was just in normal,
but I think
like a training block.
Half an hour, I'm like, I want to come out of it feeling a little bit smashed. but it's not the time to feel smashed because I don't actually have anything in my body to rebuild. I'm like, the protein I think that's going in is still being used in the recovery. It's not the time to be like, so.
I wonder what the science is behind that, how much time you really need to fully recover.
I would love some blood tests and somebody to be tracking like.
Yes. Any listeners? That's a big fish, wasn't it?
It would, yeah, to be like actually tracking each week to measure like your hormone levels and your recovery and stuff. But listening to the body, I can listen to the body and I absolutely know for sure. I mean, by 9 o'clock still every night, Gary, I'm absolutely exhausted. As you know, because you're trying to work with me, I'm pretty, things
flaky. Jokes, my goodness.
That's tough.
Oh man, it's going to come back, isn't it? I'm going to get
having to like organize stuff. You're like, the date is, and I'm like, now what's that date? What did you say? Like the brain is still a bit fuzzy and everything is just. Anyway, as you said to me as well before, because Gary is the nicest office mate. He's the one that like you'd probably stay away from at the Christmas party after a few years.
What the hell?
Super kind during the year, and that's a lull.
At one night.
At one night when he has 2 beers and goes to the
Actually, that was Lisa and I made a move for it at the Christmas party.
See, you were shocked when I said that, but I picked it right. Christmas party.
Awkward.
We have to have a podcast Christmas party. And if you've been a guest, you can come to the Christmas party. If not, it will just be you and me by the photocopier. Anyway, you're being very kind. Gary, just do not feel like I want to. Just do not.
No rush.
There's no rush. My foot is a bit sore. I've got chiro and my sports therapist, double whammy tomorrow. So the chiro needs to clip my foot because I feel like it's stuck in a position, my dodgy ankle. So once that's done, I think that will help the foot. It feels like it's flat when I'm landing. So I've done a few bits of jog walking. The legs feel fine. The muscles feel fine. But I don't want to cause any injury. And I do think I do want to do another big race this year. And so I just need to recover and not push anything. And
we've not talked about potential races, but when you say big, are we 100 miles north of that?
100 miles not big for me, Gary. That's just like a warm-up. No, I would like to do another whopper. Oof. And that's going to take a bit of time and a bit of rebuild. So I'm not frustrated yet. Maybe when the kids go back to school next week, I will. But I've got a lot to do. It's not like I'm sitting here going, what am I going to do with all this?
Yeah. It's only so much bandwidth, Eddie.
Yeah, Gary is so kind, but I know you're only reeling me in for the Christmas party. Talking of somebody who's really kind and lovely, what a joy. Carmine De Grandis. He joins us this week. What a breath of fresh air. Oh, you've met him in person, Gary. You have actually.
Yeah, I knew he'd be great. What a lovely guy.
What a lovely guy. We have a catch up and we talk about his 3 Peaks challenge. Some little deets about his 3 Peaks challenge, because I don't think he actually mentions this in the interview, but it will help you understand how hard it was. He did 21 train changes in 4 days, 3 countries, 1 gravel bike. His panniers on his bike weighed 13.6 kilograms. That's about as much as Gary weighs. So it's like Gary lying on the back of his bike. His accordion bag weighed between 13.5 to 14 kilograms. Now, my spine bag, I whined about when it was about 6 kilograms, didn't I? And that was really heavy. Wow.
So he's got that, and then he's got his bag for all his nutritionist kit too.
Yeah, all his like stuff.
Yeah.
What a man. Anyway, 70% CO2 emissions saving on equivalent of a 1,235 miles car journey. And what a journey it was. He's going to tell us all about not only that journey, but his journey into ultra running, into meeting the Scarpa community, and this amazing adventure he undertook. Here's our chat with Carmine.
If you've been in the start line of a UK trail race, then there's a good chance you will know who Carmine is. Such a positive presence in our sport. You may know him as the dude with the accordion, raising everyone's spirits. You know, it's long overdue, but it's such a treat for you to join us today. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Good, thank you. Just nursing an expected injury, because when you do too much without enough training, you know it's coming.
I saw a picture on social media. Yeah, you had a support bandage on your lower leg. Yeah, without dwelling on it too much, what happened there? And are you able to run at the moment?
The bad news was that I was having a great time skiing and decided
Oh
to.
no, it's a skiing injury.
Well, no, well, it's an overdoing injury in the sense that I first did the 3 peaks, and then the week after we went skiing with the family in Livigno. Perfect snow, even though a bit heavy. So you know that I decided to try ski mountaineering. That I haven't got a clue about how to do it, but I thought, it can't be too difficult, and I cannot descend very well either. So I did 4 days of this, including a long
Wow.
run. My legs were totally shattered, and this is embarrassing. I went to try to close a curtain and overstretched.
Oh my goodness.
And I felt the inner calf going.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sure, but it felt serious. So didn't do anything the next day, kind of just walked, could walk slowly. And then family came home. So I was waiting in Italy for the Scarpa International meeting, and I was a guest with Marco De Gasperi, our friend, in Bormio, a beautiful mountain location. I was looking forward to the runs. I was looking forward to all of that. Anyway, so I arrived. I tried to go and say hi, jumped a little fence, and it went. And for the next 3 days, I stayed indoor because I could not move. But anyway, turns out that potentially is not a tear, but is a contraction. There was a very good physio who really, really worked its magic on it. And I can cycle, I can walk, and I've started slowly rerunning, but it's very tight every morning. But just overdoing it, isn't it? Too much too soon.
That ski touring is on your calves, especially if perhaps you've not done it before and your technique, you're going calf heavy because you're gripping onto the mountain.
Well, what is ski touring? Sorry, I'm ignorant.
You know what I do, Gary, when I put the skins on the bottom of my skis and then you climb up and then you take the skins off and then you ski down. And also, if you're not great at the skiing down, that's really brave as well, because those skis are really tricky to ski down.
Super light. I mean, yes, I was in Livigno. They got a ski trap shop, so they gave me not the racing ones, but they gave me some good ones. I was not knowledgeable to that. I said, they felt like kind of, these are lighter than my shoes. Anyway, it was great fun, but consequences.
Well, that's a great word to throw around running. Right, I'm going to ask you this question because we ask this to everybody, but we'll sort of gloss over the running bit. Where are you? What's the view from your window? I won't say run, but have you done any exercise today? Though we are talking quite early.
I live in North Norfolk. Near Cromer, not far from the sea. The view from my window is lovely countryside in a small village called Aldborough. No, I have not run, but I'm intending to do a test run later after the podcast, kind of walk run and just see how it feels. There's going to be discomfort, but I've got to be sensible enough to take the discomfort not to the level of pain, because that will set me back.
Yeah, a little bit of movement, but see how it... Okay, very sensible.
Is it number 3? If the pain doesn't exceed 3 out of 10? It's a thumbs up.
I don't know. I'm not very good at counting. I normally go 1, 2, C, or A, B, 3.
I'm also terrible because I'm like, 3? How painful is this? Still attached is not that painful. I'll keep going. Now, you're a mountain athlete living in Norfolk. How does this work? The flattest place in England. What took you to Norfolk? And what are the trails like?
The trails are beautiful. The trails are absolutely stunning, and there is lots and lots of them. So from the point of view of trail running, is an excellent area. From the point of view of elevation, it's terrible. I live closest to the highest point, and it is 113 meters or something like that.
Okay.
So it's kind of repetitions. I trained for the UTMB a few years ago in the TDS and the CCC, and mostly was here, kind of going up and down little hills or try to accumulate elevation. And then, unfortunately, and then we go to the eco bit, I call it a biathlon. Get in the car, go to the race, come back by car. Because all the mountains are kind of, the closest are the Peak District, and that would be 3.5 hours. Or 3 to 3.5 hours. Snowdonia is about 6. The Brecons is about 6. The lakes about 5. And then you got the Cotswold. You got other areas that, but Norfolk is flat, absolutely. But it's possible to train and keep the love. We've had some fantastic athletes from our clubs doing quite well or really enjoying the hills. It requires a bit of determination.
Yeah, a bit of creativity.
Yeah. And how did I end up in Norfolk? I mean, you probably guessed from the accent that I'm not an original Englishman, even though I've got double citizenship now.
Well done.
28 years in the UK. I came for 3 months to learn English. I was sent by the organization I was with, which is a missionary organization. I was training to be a Catholic priest, to do a 3 years degree in an international community. And I remember telling them the only place I do not want to go is England because it's wet. Obviously, we've made a vow of obedience. Came to the choices, and they announced where we were going, and they said, "Carmine, are you going to London?" Says, "Yeah, not only England, but to a city."
Wow! Oh my goodness.
And anyway, I had a great time with the organization, but I wanted a family. So Catholic priesthood and family. It's difficult. So I took some time to think, and I met my wife. So I interpreted God will that way.
I think so. He was like, I'm going to send you to England. You're not going to like it, but you're going to meet your wife.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't, I always one might think, why am I doing this? I never want to do this. But it was exactly the right thing. I mean, 28 years and counting. So and Jen is English. So we kind of started, universities, blah, 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 and buy a house, get a mortgage. It becomes harder to go back. And she was from Norfolk. So it's always good to be near grandparents. So the choice was mountains versus grandparents. And at the time, I was not yet into mountain running. I hadn't discovered it yet very much. I'd done several London marathons and I'd run, but hadn't discovered more than cross country. So I loved the mountains, but there wasn't this big cold.
When did running become a bigger part of your life?
It was always something that helped me clear my mind, and it was more an outdoor experience. So we had beautiful parks, and a friend who was a mountaineer when I was about 20, took me out for a 5K run in a park, and I really liked it. When I came to London, when you live with 30 other young men from about 3 different continents, and you've got to make decisions together, sometimes it's hard. So my way of kind of trying to find a way through was through running. And then someone said, "Oh, there is a marathon in London. Why don't you do that for charity?" And at the time, it was a bit easier to get in. So I got a place and I didn't have a clue. So I started buying Runner's World to try to find a schedule.
Yeah.
That's what we all did.
And basically what happened was that 2 weeks before the marathon, I got injured. I had the best run ever. So 23 miles, everything went swimmingly well. It looked like it was going to be close to 3 hours. And a couple of days after, my knee went. I thought I wouldn't run. Then a good physio said, "No, if you do what I say, you get through." And that hooked me to running. So that was safe and sound now. Because we were traveling down to Italy regularly to take the children and to see my family, we started stopping in Switzerland or Lake Garda. We started having a holiday in the holiday. And I loved the mountains more and more because I come from them anyway. And I found that there was a marathon that was starting in St. Moritz and would go up to 2,700 meters in 13 miles. And then the next 13 miles will be coming down. There was an ultra as well, but at the time I didn't know the word ultra. And so I was drunk on, not drunk, I was happy on, I think it was New Year's Day. There seemed to be a theme to the New Year's Day happiness. Anyway, so I entered the race. And then there was a friend who said, "But how will you train?" "Oh, well, there is this thing. It's a mountain marathon. Have you heard of it?" I said, "No." He says, "Well, basically, we're going to spend 2 days together looking for things in the hills, in the Lake District." It was the Lamb. not the Lamb, the Saunders Lakeland Mountain Marathon.
Yeah.
And they said, don't worry, I can navigate, because I couldn't for Toffee. Really, I've not looked at a map other than the road maps. Anyway, he got injured. So anyway, and he said, don't worry, I've got a friend who can do I can do my road. And about 7 hours into this race, he bonked.
Oh man.
So we're lost in the middle of nowhere and I haven't got a clue. But in spite of that, the experience was so good. And then the marathon in Switzerland was unbelievable. That I came back thinking, I've turned 40. And someone mentioned that there is a 40 miles race, the High Peaks in the Peak District, I think it was in September. I'm going to enter it. Yeah, it kind of was trial and error. and then you meet the community, and the community really drives you in. This niche suddenly becomes, it's like, the Harry Potter tent. Yeah, that from the outside look really, really small, but when you went in with a palace, So it was that kind of experience for me, trail running and mountain running. You go places and you meet someone, you share a few miles, and they tell you, "Have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? I've done this, I've done that," and then you go home, and you say, after having said, "I'm never gonna do this again," and you look, say, "Ooh. How about that?"
Eddie always describes it as a cookie jar. I think that's a real good analogy.
Yeah.
That there's and you just go, you do a race, and then you, like you say, you have a chat with someone. You're like, oh well, there's a 200-mile race. We can run backwards and forwards in the tunnel for a few days. It's absolutely bonkers. So in that journey, then, when did you get involved with Scarpa?
So I'm 53 now, and I started getting really interested about 39, 40, which is also towards the beginning. If you think about it, so that would be 2010, and that was kind of ultra running, sky running, and all of those were picking up, but they weren't quite mainstream. They weren't where they're now. And I organically went through the process. I entered lots and lots and lots of races because I loved, again, the community. I love the mountains. So I'll tell you a little thing. What happened was that at one point I started telling my wife, Jenny, I want to move to the mountains. And we go back and forth. The children were young, they were at school. Can you move them? Can't you move them? And then she was really nice, because basically I said, how about once a month I disappear in the mountains? I don't go much to the pub. I don't do much of this, that, and the other. How about that? And Jenny said, go on. She's always been so supportive. And so basically once a month I'd disappear, and the excuse was to find a race, to meet the community, kind of fairly low key most of the time. And this basically got me really involved and passionate. I did lots of them, like, I did all of the UTMB races. I did other races in Europe. I did Lakeland 100 that you love, Gary, and that I love too, and Lakeland 50 and so on. So it kind of was genuinely a real passion. I was part of Run Further, which all of you have heard. So through that, then I was injured, and I decided to go and volunteer at Oria events. And 1 year at the Oria events in Scotland, there was the Golden Trail series final or something like that. I think it was one of those races. And I was volunteering, and I met Marco De Gasperi, who would come up. At the time, he was running for Oka, 7-time world mountain champion, and all kind of other things, but a really nice guy. Anyway, we started talking and helping each other. That went on, and then a few years on, Scarpa, the brand, asked him to be the brand developer for the trail running department, if you want. And we were talking, and he said, would you like to be an ambassador? And I said, well, yes, but what am I meant to do? He said, well, we'll give you some kit. If you like it, talk to people about it. And then he said, I've got this dream of creating trail running teams with athletes. Yeah, maybe you could get involved with that. And he introduced me to the distributor in the UK, Mountain Boot. And at the beginning, it was very much, am I going to get on with these shoes? I had been through all kinds. So Scott Kinabalu were a favorite at one point, but then they changed them. Innovate were good, but I couldn't always get on with the fact that we're quite minimal and my feet wanted a little bit more. I went several times and finally managed to get used to Ultra and loved Ultra, but they didn't last long enough, and also my foot for the precision would kind of couldn't find the right size. So when going steep, it kind of go a little bit like this.
Okay.
So I was looking for something a little bit more precise. And at the time, I was doing the FKT, the Norfolk Coastal Path, and Marco sent this Spin Ultra. So I started with a different pair of shoes because they'd only come 3 days before. They felt comfortable, but you don't do something with new shoes, do you?
Sometimes.
Anyway, 40 miles in. No, well, I should have, because 40 miles in, my feet were destroyed. And the second pair of shoes were the Spin Ultra. So I had another 45 plus miles to do on sand and various other conditions. The Norfolk Coastal Path for you, Edwina, come and do it. I'll show you around and you can stay.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah. No, it'd be great. And anyway, the shoes worked really well. So I went back to Marco and said, you know what, these seem to work. And you want to develop more, yeah, I'm on board.
They must be doing something right, because they are on quite a lot of people's feet. Maybe, I suppose they've really become on my radar maybe the past 4 years, I suppose that kind of timeline.
But it's only 4 years ago that Marco came on board and that they started, and that the real development started. And one of the great things, for instance, we got a really, really big, amazing team in the UK with some beautiful people.
The English trails are quite problematic, because you could have a nice trail, you could have a real boggy trail or a steep descent, grassy descent. So yeah, to find a brand that will accommodate English trails, that's pretty special.
It's hard. And it's hard to convince the developers as well. We're really proud because, and this is something that was quite special, that 1 year in, they basically made a shoe for us to test with a bottom that was more appropriate. So it was 6 millimeters lugs. A little bit is the Calibra now. Through that, then Marco came over. And this is amazing. So we were doing this UK team meet. We promised them the best lakes weather. So Edwina,
good. Full on storm. Yeah.
Exactly. There was a named
headwind, named storm.
And we took him during the named storm on Bowfell.
Brilliant.
and made him come down some of the steep stuff on Bowfell. And we had everyone. We had from Eve Whittaker and Lex Whittaker, who were young and part of the youth team at the time, to Tom Hollins and Howard Druckup and Tim Piggott, and all of them, and Emma Stewart, so on. So anyway, we're coming down, and Marco goes, I can see why you need a slightly different sole here. and I think that actually was the beginning of the current Spin ST.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just looking at the Spin Infinity as you were talking about the shoe. Is there another one out after the Spin Infinity now?
Oh, there is lots, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
need to educate myself.
There is the old kind of portfolio now. But the Spin Infinity is so Emma Stewart's favorite shoe, basically. Is not very luggy.
No, that's what I was looking at, thinking, that in the Lake District.
Yeah,
I think you'd be
and it's
on your
quite
bum.
firm. But having said that, Emma won UTS 100 in that and did the course record. And won the Arc of Attrition 100 with that and did the course record and the Tour de Giants. But yes, it's not very lucky, even though they're going more towards 4-5 now.
Okay.
There are other ones. There are some more comfortable ones for people like me. There's a Planet, for instance. I am gonna go for the Golden Gate too, because
I'm looking at the Golden Gate too. Yeah,
I'm testing some out. I've got them.
That's so comfortable. It's Yeah, well, you let me know what you think. Yeah, we like them. We like them a lot, because they're a really good, crossover. But the most important thing for me is not being the shoes or the kit. Is being helping, bringing together a team that supports each other, and that grows, and that's absolutely beautiful. You know what? We got a WhatsApp group that's so much fun.
Shall we move on to the National Three Peaks Eco version? Well, it's a massive question, actually. What is it and why?
I wanted to do a challenge that was in the mind of everyone in the UK. Yeah, so we didn't want to go for something that was just knowledgeable to us, to our community. And the National Three Peaks is something that everyone has heard, knows someone who's done it. Yeah, obviously the idea of going up the 3 highest peaks in the 3 countries. So that was the reason for picking that. But then my desire was, okay, I've got these projects where I run carrying my accordion because I love running and I love playing the accordion. And therefore, with the idea of associating the things that you enjoy, because that's going to make you happier, I thought, yeah, why not? Then you realize that it weighs a lot and that there are other problems to this. I decided that I wanted to look into how to do my challenge and link it up to the 3 Peaks challenge. And the 3 Peaks are a long way from me. Because obviously I live in Norfolk and all of them are on the west. So it would have been 1,400 miles. And I wanted to do them to raise, I've been raising money over the last 3-4 years for Climbers Against Cancer, which is a charity that was created by a climber who had cancer and died in 2015, I think, of it. But he basically had this principle that was, it's not about, you can't choose how long you live, but you can choose how you live.
Yeah.
And you can, as a community, help to not only have the experiences, even when someone is plagued with this terrible illness or someone dear to you is, but we can also help fund research. So Climbers Against Cancer funds small projects of research to find a cure, hopefully one day. And my dad died of cancer. So I wanted to do this, 3 Peaks because I love the mountains, take the accordion and so on and raise money. And a friend, Kate Worthington from Wales, who is part of the Green Runners, when I told her about this, threw in a challenge, and I'm really grateful that she did. And she said, well, it's all good. You're doing something good. You're raising money. You're making community. But how about the environment? I'm not a purist. As I've said, I travel and I've got, a really challenging decision-making process. I'm sponsored. I get shoes, even though I try to reuse the ones that I've got as much as possible and don't throw them away. But the question was, yes, she's right. Maybe I should try to give it a little bit more time and try to see if I can do it in a different way. And that's where the idea of eco-green came in. And because one of the pledges that the Green Runners make is try to find an alternative way of traveling to offset carbon emissions. Firstly, I thought, okay, I could go by train and then do the rest, everything with the bike and running. But when I started planning, I realized that I didn't have enough time because I'm not a fast biker and I don't bike much, so I would have broken. And then I thought, okay, how about trying to reach the location by public transport as close as possible, but any in between use either a bike or myself, so self-propelled and self-supported. And that's how I set it up. By chance, I started talking to Harvey, the maps, and they said, we're doing a green issue. And that kind of, when they said that, and they said, we'll be interested in seeing how it goes, how you plan it, then I thought, there you go. What I'm going to do, why am I doing it, is because I want to see if it's possible, and I want to see if other people are interested in finding out and then learn from my mistakes. That's how it came about. So really excited about building community, identifying myself more with this country that has given me a home for so long, linking up with the runners from the local areas, because there was, people could come and run with me if they chose to, but I wouldn't accept any help. If you see what I'm saying, it was my self-supported thing. And more than that was, okay, how do I plan it in a way that I use public transport? And is it cheaper? Is it just better because it's less carbon? How much less? What other issues? Am I, getting 5, 6, 7 new items towards this, which therefore will destroy totally my going by train?
Yeah.
So and because of that, I thought, okay, you know what? I've just done the Spine Challenger North. I've got all the kit. I'm gonna use everything I have. I'm not gonna get a single bit of kit, and I'm gonna not get any food. I had plenty.
You buy the food and then you don't eat
Spine.
it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I had plenty. It was okay. It's still in date or just off date. It's not gonna kill me.
Fine. Nah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's how it came about. So for me to reflect on how I can or can't be more aware of my impact on the environment for the passion that I have for this thing that gives me life, which is, running mountains and community and so on.
So you started your journey from Norfolk. You've got to get to Fort William. My God, that's a starting train journey. And then your first summit is Ben Nevis. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the first challenge was that choosing the time. So I had plans. So what races I wanted to do this year and so on. And I thought, but I also want to do this, which is going to take quite a while. So I thought, if I put it in spring, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be lovely and warm. So how about the Easter
We've all
holidays,
thought that about April. Yes. Lovely. Spring.
Yeah. And the week before, I started looking at the weather. It turns out it's going to be as cold as during the spine. Okay, fine. So anyway, I moved from home by bike to the closest train station, which is about 8 miles.
Okay.
Carrying everything, so carrying my big rucksack, about 14 kilos, and the Paniers. I didn't plan properly, so they were too heavy. Again, another 13, 14 kilos with everything I was carrying. And I left on the Wednesday, and basically the first day would be just traveling up to Fort Williams. So it would be kind of North Walsham to Norwich, and then a few other trains, changes. So Edinburgh change, Glasgow change, Fort Williams, get to Fort Williams, 10 o'clock in the evening, talk to the youth hostel because they would not be there to welcome me, so they had to leave the key out for the following morning start at 5 o'clock. So you could look at it in two ways. It took 4 days in all, but the actual 3 peaks took 36 and a bit hours.
Okay.
With the connections. But that's how I got to Fort Williams, which was an experience in itself. One thing that almost destroyed the challenge. 3 o'clock in the morning, I needed the loo. Okay. So I go to the loo and I forget to take my card.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. To get back into the dorm. So I'm so happy. It's about to start. I've got an hour and a half more sleep to have. You go to the door, it doesn't open. Oh, it was kind of idiot. You've forgotten that you had a key. How are you going to even start?
No.
But yeah, massive embarrassment. I had to knock. Someone had to come and open. So
Get all your mistakes out early, Carmine.
Yeah. I had to open. This poor guy came. Opened the door, and I went back in. And then in the morning, knowing that the weather, double checked the weather again. It was going to be 65 miles per hour winds. It was snow at the top.
I've been saying the Lake District in Keswick's Windermere's been really lovely, but then you go up top and it's horrendous. Was that the situation?
It was exactly that. The Fort Williams was lovely because the wind was coming from the south, I think, where the youth hostel was sheltered. So we managed to go all the way to the lake. So we started at 5 o'clock, and Nancy, a friend who is a doctor and who's an ultra runner and biker and so on, came to join me. So we went all the way to the lake and just above it in beautiful, beautiful weather. We got some pictures that are stunning. And then as we started climbing and we got to the switchbacks, the snow grew and grew and grew. And we were looking up thinking, isn't that much wind? But we could see the swirls.
Oh.
And I thought it was just the clouds, but it wasn't. It was basically the snow was so dry and the wind was so strong that basically the wind was moving the snow all the time, creating these wind turbines, if you want. And the higher we went, obviously, the more exposed we were, because obviously we were open to the wind now. At several points, we thought, is it safe? Is it not safe? I really wanted to get to the top. And we got to the 7th switchback, which is basically the one where you would take a bearing and go straight on. Still quite a bit, but not, about a kilometer, I think, maybe. But the wind was just on us. So every time that the wind hit us, a little bit like you say in your... Edwina, in your story on the Northern Traverse, basically we'll have to crouch totally down. The other addition is the accordion bag. I'll just show you.
I was wondering about that.
So the accordion bag is this size, yeah?
Wow.
Okay.
If you're listening on the podcast, it's about the size of your torso and your head.
Yeah.
It's enormous.
So that's a 45-liter climbing bag. What I never appreciated before is that basically it makes me more than twice my size.
Yeah.
And if the wind is hitting me
On the side,
sideways, then suddenly it's like
you're a
if hitting
jumbo jet. You're off.
Exactly. So it was kind of, but and we kept going and going, and then there is this massive whiteout. You're being pelted constantly by all these tiniest bits of snow, super fast. So it was.
Is that when you're grateful for your spine goggles? They came out.
Oh yeah. I was wearing the goggles. I was wearing everything spine. I was spined up.
I was spined up.
Was there anybody else on the mountain? That's always an indicator for me. When I'm going up, if people come down looking wrecked, it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go up there.
No one was up. We were the first. As I say, the weather was misleading because at the bottom you felt it was nice. Yeah, and then as we made the decision that we couldn't reach the top, which is a bit of a painful decision when you're starting on the 3 peaks and you've got to tell the people that are following you, you know what? I didn't make it, which is part of this, what motivates us? Do you keep going? Do you treat it as a race or is it an experience? In which case you're thankful for what you get. Anyway, we made the right decisions. There were 2 of us. We kept going as far as we could. And then as we were coming down, I don't know if you know Tom Owens. So he's a friend, but he's a legend in the running world. With he's run for Solomon endless years and achieved all kinds of stuff. He came for his morning run to meet us.
Brilliant.
So that was so joyful, We had, 2 people living in Scotland sharing in that experience with me. So as we got to a safe place, played a bit the accordion, and then had to run down fast because, of course, this is by trains, and you can't miss the trains, can you?
And what was the song? Sorry, Carmine. What was the song for Ben Nevis? Do you remember?
Yeah. We had 2. Was Scotland the Brave because
Brilliant.
It was kind of that kind of condition, and that we Scotland the Brave, and what was it? And Old Lang Syne. So that was Ben Nevis, and it was beautiful.
I think it's important you share that you didn't make the summit and you came back down because then, we can relive this adventure. Sometimes people push on a little bit too far. I think it's great to share that it's okay to turn around.
And to be honest, I've got to be good. The more I reflect on it, I've got to be grateful because there were 2 of us. I was more sensible because I think that if I'd been on my own, I would have probably kept doggedly going on. But in reality, it wasn't safe. So I probably would have made the top, kind of crawling and whatever. But it wouldn't have been the right message. The mountain is there another day.
True.
And it's okay. I mean, we're guests on the mountains. And sometimes the mountain is ready to accept us. Sometimes the mountain is not ready to accept us. It's an equals relationship. You don't force yourself on someone else. Well, you don't force yourself on nature.
Oh, Gary does on me all the time. I keep trying to get rid of him, and he's like,
40 minutes in before you...
Eddie.
Awesome. Well, next up, then, you're heading up the Lake District. I don't know what the roads have been like so far when you've been on your bike, but my memory of the Lake District, I see lots of cyclists there, but I wouldn't want to cycle. And what time of day was it? So, you get to Windermere, I think, is that correct? And then you're off to the Langdales.
Well, the original plan was to go to Penrith and then cycle a lot more, so about 30 miles to get to Seathwaite, which would have been a better ascent chance to Scarfield Pike. But then I realized that I'm not an amazing cyclist, and I started thinking there's going to be a lot of weight on that bike. So I then discovered, keeping looking, that I could actually go to Windermere by train. And I'm quite familiar with the route up from Old Dungeongill. And it was shorter. It was about 11 miles rather than 30 miles. I got to Windermere, making several connections of trains and bikes and so on. And I had to change from station to station in Glasgow. But when I got to Windermere, it was about 7 o'clock in the evening, 7:30. And guess what? The heavens opened. Okay. So there is one thing I can cope with: snow.
Yeah.
Wind, I'm used to. Rain, I'm still struggling to get used to. And it was pouring down. And luckily, my friend Dave Suds, who is one of the guys at Mountain Boot and the Scarpa UK manager, he's a great cyclist. And he said that he would come and join me, which is great because it helped me feel safer. The amount of water on the road that night, it was just bonkers. Yeah, kit was good, so I wasn't wet. Well, I wasn't very wet, if you see what I'm saying. Kit was holding up, and we had the pub. And that was amazing. You know, the old Dungeon Kill is epic. So we went to the pub. This was Monday, Thursday. Yeah, so there were a few people there, fairly happy. We got there, got a drink, and I told them, would you like to listen to an accordion tune? And they thought I was taking the mick. You know, what, accordion? Now, where is it? Then I took the accordion.
My trusty
accordion out and I started playing for them. And it turned out in the best party. Yeah, it was really cool. And they donated some money and they asked about what we were doing. And the landlord were so kind because I was starving. And they gave me the most beautiful pie. So I offered to pay, and they said, no, that's on us because you're doing
Wonderful.
this for charity and you're going up. Yeah, they were so generous.
I think stuff like that energizes you. It really gives you a lift.
Yeah, well, yeah, because one thing I haven't said is that by now, the biggest misunderstanding I had of all of this was rest time. So I had planned that my rest time would be on the trains. Okay, it turns out that I can't rest on a train, and that I could not sleep at all. So basically, by now, I started traveling on the Wednesday morning. We are on the Thursday night, and I haven't slept, more than 3 hours the night before.
So what's that climb like then? You're going to go up Scarfield Pike, which is a pretty tasty mountain, and you're pooped. What was that like? And again, it's dark, it's windy, it's raining.
The storm is still, or the wintry weather is still heavily with us. A friend who used to run with the Norfolk Trail Runners, who lives now in the lakes, came to join me. He's quite experienced now, so at least we're going to be two of us going up. Yeah, the exhaustion kicked in on climbing Rosset Pike. It's steep, it's long, it's not that technical, but it's rocky. And I realized that I wasn't generating heat. So I was wetting, but I wasn't comfortable. And the wind was super strong already. We got higher up and we're making really slow progress. And I start putting extra layers on. And even that's not working. So we start discussing what to do, because we know that the moment we hit not the plateau, but we need escorts from there to Scafell, will be challenging because we're going to find snow and it's going to be in the middle of the night.
It's very technical too, isn't it? You can't really move fast on that ground either. It's really super rocky.
We made the decision that I'll put it was not the last layer, but last layers on, but the heaviest, the one that I would put on only to rest, really, thinking if this is not going to work, I'm in trouble. So I put that on, continue for another 20 minutes, and it's not working. I'm just warm enough. We're about 800 meters. So, I was almost crying because, it's really not going well. I wanted to go up to Ben Nevis and I didn't manage. But that one at least was nature stopping me.
Yeah.
But now I can't blame nature. It's me. I've misjudged it. Yeah, I haven't rested right. It felt like crying because, there's these other people. I've made these big things up and, you feel a little bit like a fraud. And then I thought, no, think again, okay? There's been a lot of joy. There is a purpose. It's a journey, lived journey. Accept how it's going. What would be the right thing to do? So I told Matt, I said, look, let's turn around because I don't think I can make this one. So we turned around. And then I had an idea. I said, what's in a name? We were going to Scarfield Pike, right? But we're going past Rosted Pike. They must be
that's good enough. That's close enough.
I've done it. So we decided to go up Rosted Pike and play on Rosted Pike. I was happy again. Said, okay, hey, it's like playing football match. Lose one, draw one. Yeah. Maybe I'll win the next one. And the worst bit was that obviously I had to find a solution to rest. So I've said that I had all my kit, and I had the kit that I'd use, so the sleeping bag and the sleeping mat and so on, as per for the spine, and the conditions were similar. It was, very close to minus temperatures. Problem is, and Eddie and you will know this, if you try to go to sleep in a sleeping bag and your inner is a little bit sweaty and you're cold, and you try to sleep, the first 20 minutes you're fine. Then the cold gets to you, and the sleeping bag, no matter how good it is, can't warm you up. So you start moving a little bit, like making those little dance, but still not sleeping. And the best I'd managed to find once I got down to the old dungeon guild, because it was all shut. I didn't want to knock on someone to say, "Can you come and open for me, please, this time?" So I found a lean-on shed where they would put wood. I made my little home in the shed, which wasn't a shed. It was just a lean, where you put the wood in. Yeah, and I think I tried to sleep for about 2 hours, but 1.5 hours in, I had to get out because I needed to move. But that bit of rest was enough. Then I got the bike. I cycled back to Windermere and waited. But by now, it was daylight, 6 o'clock. Finally that morning, the rain had stopped. At least I wasn't riding in the rain. So it was kind of, we will continue. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, it's worth it. We're still doing this. It is for the learning. So let's, that's how it went. That was Scarfield Pike.
How do you get to Snowdon then? What's that journey look like?
It was actually really nice because, you go Windermere by bike, and then the train is really quite comfortable, and I got all the way, so there was one change, and I got all the way to Bangor on the same train. So all of that was brilliant. So getting to Bangor was not a problem. Same problem as before in terms of not sleeping, even though there shouldn't have been a reason, just my mind, because I was always worried I'll miss the stop. So I got there, guess what? It started pouring down again.
Oh my goodness.
It started pouring down again.
For somebody in close contact with baby Jesus, you've not done well for this.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I know. I think he was kind of telling me, you should listen a little bit more to me. Maybe we should spend a little bit more time together.
Well, this is it. This is him in the rain, isn't it? You're going to face up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it.
But I don't know what we think about Welsh drivers. I come from Italy, all right? So Italian drivers are fairly bad. Welsh drivers could be Italian.
Okay, yeah.
No, on the roads towards Llanberis, the kind of overtaking maneuvers some of the time was kind of, God,
super scary.
Another one.
Scary.
I've survived another one. And and in this heavy rain, thinking, another time. So that's where friends help. Kate, I spoke to Kate from the train, and I said, "Look, Kate, I wanted to go up from the pig's track or even from the ridge, but I think it's a bit unsafe because there was a forecast of snow at the top, quite heavy." And Kate said, "Actually, probably today the Llanberis path is the best option." So that was really good advice. And once I got towards Llanberis, and this again, the magic was the people. I see a beaming smile that saved me on the spine as well, and that's Robin Cassidy.
Awesome.
Robin and Simon were training in Snowdonia. So Robin came, and I don't know if you've met her, but she's the nicest and most smiley person you'll ever find. So that suddenly took away I'm in pain, I'm slept. No, there are friends. We're doing this for yay! So forgot all of that. We had a little chat. And then I started off to Snowdon. Again, the first bit was nice and easy. And then, as expected, from the second bridge, it was really heavy, wet snow. So in spite of using the Catula spikes, they just weren't holding. It's that kind of mush snow where wherever you put your step on it, you go down.
Sorry, Carmine, was this a solo climb to Snowdon?
Yes, Snowdon was solo. Snowdon was just me. And I thought, okay, are we going to get to the top? By now I'm thinking, the conditions are hard, but they're not extreme. I've got all the kit. there is no reason to stop unless, there's something major that I can't foresee happens. So, there was white out at the top. There were these two.
Of course.
Of course, yeah. You go to Snowdon, you don't see anything. But this was magical. So I got just, where the Pigs track meets the Lamberes path.
Yeah.
And the last tiny bit. So I meet these two tourists, and well done to them for having made it that far. And what question do they ask me? Have we been to Snowdon?
Fantastic.
My heart went out to them. I said, "You're so," because they turned back. They were coming down.
Touching distance.
We've been to Snowdon. Says, you will be if you turn around and you just go another 400 meters. Follow me. And but then again, lots of people were asking about this rucksack. You're right. And then they were saying, well, what's in it? And they can see the picture of the accordion. And whenever it was possible, I'll take it out and play. And I met this most amazing group of Irish walkers that they come on holiday to really enjoy Snowdonia. Basically, they got the 3 days where they couldn't see a thing. And they were all...
They're used to that, though. They'd be like, this is like at home.
That's how I felt for them. But so there was from an 80-year-old man who was super strong, absolutely in those conditions, and to about, someone in their 20s. They were a lovely group, and they all seemed to know what they were doing, and they were chatting. And it was beautiful when one of them said, "Oh, thank you. You greeted us." And again, it reminded me that purpose. Why do we go to the mountains? If you're not racing, and you haven't got a different purpose, maybe you are in an organized event. It's not just about me. It's about, again, opening up that unknown. And those things made a massive difference to the whole experience. And so got down. And
what did you play on the top?
What did I play on the top? Well, because I met the Irish people.
This is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. In Dublin, fair city, where the girls are so pretty. So that one. And then to a guy, I met another guy who's raising money for breast cancer. This chap is going up Snowdon 100 times.
Stop it.
Yes, not 100 times in a go, but 100 times. So he's doing 100 summits of Snowdon, possibly in consecutive days. And I think so far he's on track. And the day before he was dressed as Spider-Man. The day we met, he was just running. And the day after, he was dressed as a priest because it was Easter. But so maybe I should have done that. But the nice thing was, so I played for this guy, and during Dragon's Back, where I also carried the accordion and played a little bit for Gary as well. They taught me Delilah. So I played for him Delilah, and he started singing at the top of his voice, Tom Jones, isn't it? So that was really, really good. And to finish off, at the bottom, Simon and Robin were there. And then I went to, I wanted to finish, and this was planned, even though only 2 days before I asked, and they kindly said yes, to the National Outdoor Centre. And they basically gave me the opportunity to share the story and the music with, it was a Friday night, it was Good Friday, to the people. So they put it out to people, say, look, if you want to come. They also raised funds for Climbers Against Cancer. And we were around the bar, and it was really nice because there were lots of people, including children. And informally retelling the story. This was only an hour after I'd finished. In the whole thing, I'd slept 2.5 hours. So I had a shower, came down, and then I shared the story. And the best bit was that I managed to allow some of the kids to play the accordion. They'd never done. So maybe I may not have done the 3 picks, but I've got some people wanting to learn to play the accordion. Yeah. One day, we'll take the accordion at the top of the mountains. That's success for me.
Your legacy Yeah, I love it. You need this legacy to carry on.
Absolutely.
What a memory that is. Some child just going to be talking about that in 30 years' time. They're going to be
Yeah,
playing
he'll
the
be
accordion.
doing show and tell
that's-
in his classroom, and then his teacher will
that's
go,
the
"No,
story."
that's madness. Nobody would do that. Think he's made that up."
So that was my and my 3 big Seiko challenge. And yeah, it turned out that by the time, so the day after, I had to obviously made it back because Jenny said, well, look, you do the 3 bigs, I can come and pick you up. And I said, well, but that then is going to nullify the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You know, because, okay, I'm not a great ambassador of this eco thing because there are too many clashes in my life. But this thing, I want to try to be faithful to what I'm setting out to do. You know, so the no other kit and so on. And therefore, I'm going to make myself go by bike back to Bangor and come back all the way to Norfolk and then home.
Oh, it's
Bye-bye.
dedication. Wow.
And well, I don't know about that because I was losing it when, you know, it's not perfect. So basically on the last train to North Walsham, which is only 8 miles away from home, I was speaking to Jenny and I said, any chance you could come and pick me up? Guess what she said?
No.
No.
She said, no. You've done so much. Now
Yes.
you take it home by bike.
Fantastic. Well done, Jenny.
So yeah, yeah, she said no. Thank you, love. No, but you know, we need tough love, isn't it? We need those people who support.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the same. If Bryn, when I do these mega races, he's like, well, off you go, but
You signed up for it.
You signed up for it. Get yourself to the finish.
Yeah.
You're not having any. I'm not coming to get you. I'm busy.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that was great. That was great. One of the things that came through this, and you know, obviously we raised some money as well. You know, 1,800 quid, which is super good. But some of the comments that some of the people wrote on the Just Giving page, you know, one of the trustees of Climbers Against Cancer, who hadn't heard of this before, and says, oh, loving the accordion adventures, and now he's written me an email saying, you know, we got this thing called Everesting. How about? Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, especially with my cast. But hey, and so on. And there's, you know, there was a guy that I met on the last day at the station while I was waiting for the train, and he was walking the coastal path, and he made a donation. And he wrote beautiful words. He wrote, bravo Carmine, epic achievement, pleasure meeting you at Bangor Station. Thanks for the chat and sharing your story. Would love to hear your music. The thought brings a smile to my face. That's the only purpose, you know, and that's been the same reaction from the ordinary, he's not ordinary at all, but the person that I met, say, in a cafe that loves the outdoors, to the people that I once took the accordion to the Skyline Extreme to the top of the mountain before the Anakiga Ridge. So, you know, this is the last climb, and the athletes are coming up totally exhausted, and then you play them La Bamba, and they say,
Is that your mission, though, Carmine? Is your mission to bring happiness and a smile? Because every time I've met you, Helvellyn, Dragon's Back Race, I've always come away a little bit happier.
Thank you. The original mission is to build community and to give a little bit back. So that's the purpose, really. The other purpose is that you can put things together that don't always belong together, like why the accordion, why the mountains? My dad died of cancer. Me and my dad, you know, consider that I've lived most of my life away from home. I left at 14 to go to boarding school, and I never went back for more than a few weeks at a time. And we loved each other so much, but we had a, you know, fairly feisty relationship because we're too similar. When Dad died, or he was really sick, I thought, how are you going to be in my heart, really sharing my life? And he loved the accordion. He had encouraged me to play and learn the accordion. I loved the mountains. So I thought, you know what? If I take the accordion to the mountains, I'm not just talking a language that everyone understands, that doesn't confuse anyone, the language of music, but I'm actually reconnecting and hopefully healing all of the hurt that sometimes I cause to my dad. That kind of thing. Yeah, it is about making community, and we're all different. We all got different ideas and ideologies, but in nature, we can hopefully find a way to be a little bit more human, more understanding, more supportive of each other, stronger. So that's that.
That's a lovely message.
I love that message. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I was living all those climbs in that terrible weather. We look forward to seeing what's next. But instead of the quick five, we thought for a podcast, what do we call it? A special. We're going to ask you, well, if you don't mind playing us a tune, your choice on your accordion.
Well, I think even though it's overheard, everyone kind of likes La Bamba, so we can play La Bamba. Why not?
I love it.
So, ready? Baila bamba, baila bamba, baila bamba, bamba.
Hey!
A perfect break from tradition. I love that. Thanks, Carmine. Awesome. Yeah, really, really enjoy it. I knew I was going to enjoy that chat. Thank you so much for sharing the last, oh my goodness me, over an hour. That went super fast.
Sorry.
You take care.
No, we
Our
absolutely
pleasure.
loved it. And I hope one day I'm climbing up a mountain and to hear the faint noise of La Bamba through the clouds and to
It's
meet
inevitable
you.
they're doing it. If you
There is a plan of trying to take the accordion to 4,000 meters. So
I'm up for that.
discussing.
I'm really strong. I could carry it for you
Exactly.
a little bit, maybe like 10
yeah.
meters.
I'm talking to, I don't know if you know her, Hilary Girardi.
Yes, I love Hillary.
Yeah, she's great. She's a good friend. And I was talking to her this week about which 4,000 she would recommend to do.
Ooh,
So
keep us posted.
that's in the plan, as well as maybe Bob Graham round with the accordion or one of the rounds.
Oh my goodness me. It sounds sensational.
So well, I don't know. It might work, might not, but there's plenty of dreams.
Oh,
Loads
they're
of
dreams.
adventures.
And your adventures will always be your own special interpretation anyway, which I absolutely love.
Thank you.
Sorry, just before you dash, can people still donate? Is the Just Giving page still open?
Yeah. It's still open. I'm gonna leave it open. So if people, everything goes directly to Climbers Against Cancer, and I'm very aware that there are so many of us doing things and raising money. So I'm really grateful for people to listen, and if people want to donate, that's amazing. But even the thought is just plenty. It's tough times, isn't it? Money doesn't stretch as much as it normally does. So,
well, if people can afford it, then please.
But one thing, definitely they can. But one thing I noticed is that me doing the eco adventure, actually I spend less than if I'd gone by car, even though the trains in England are really expensive.
Okay, that's interesting.
So that's what. That was an interesting find. Obviously, if I started going with other people, that would not have been the same. But me, I saved money as well as polluted less, I suppose.
Now you just need to work on your train sleeping game, which we can do together because I'm excellent at it. I am a professional travel sleeper, so I can give you a few tips on that.
If I only knew, I would have asked. But I didn't.
I'll give you a few tips.
I didn't realize it was going to be an issue. It was kind of, I tried to sleep and then go, I've got to something else. But brain was wired.
Yeah. A little less caffeine, maybe. Thank you. Yes, I see it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Take care and hope the cough gets better soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Strava. Thanks, Silver Sweden, for sponsoring our Strava Club and Tales from the Trails. Don't forget, patrons can save a handsome 20% off over at silversweden.uk. First up in the Strava Club is Karen Hacker. Yeah, she's been crushing the trails. Total mileage 53.8, longest run of 14.4 miles, and elevation for the week 4,196. Emma Spray. Total coincidence for Emma, actually. She is our Tales from the Trails too this week. But yeah, 88.2 miles for Emma. Longest run of 16.7 miles. Ooh, 12,864 feet of elevation.
God, Gary would be all over that, Strava. He'd be Instagramming out.
That'll be my story, yeah. And third up, yeah, no stranger to the show, Giacomo Scriantini. Best of luck with Newport Marathon coming up this weekend. Giacomo managed a niggle, so fingers crossed. 75.7 miles, though, with the longest run of 15.1 and 2,957 feet. Heavy.
Last long run for a marathon, 15 miles, couple of weeks out is about perfect, isn't it? 12 to 15 miles.
Yeah.
Just long enough you feel you've done a long run, not so long. And it doesn't feel long because you've done a ton of really terrible 18, 19 ones.
I've been friends with Giacomo for, well, my goodness me, probably a decade over on social media, and he has been a consistent high mileage runner. So he has got that old man strength. We've got some results. It's been a long time since we've shared any results over on the podcast. But yeah, Ultra Trails World Ranges Way Ultra 44 miles with 3,600 feet of vert. Sophie Preston, a 20-year-old and taking part in her first ever Ultra, claims first female runner in a course record time of 7 hours, 26 minutes and 34 seconds. Wow, where'd you go from that? First race.
I was just thinking, were you running ultras when you were 20? What were you doing when you were 20?
No. I was probably head over a toilet somewhere, puking up when I was 20.
I didn't know where that one was going either, listener, but I'm glad that it was just...
Some heavy chafing on my hands and knees, I think, maybe. Matthew Hunt. Matthew Hunt takes the overall win, though. Yeah, claims first male in a record-breaking time of 6 hours. Sorry, Matthew, for dragging your...
I stopped myself. I had a real word. One, a lovely ultra trail support this podcast. So stop being silly, Eddie. And my dad is listening, and he hates it when I laugh at the smutty jokes. Sorry, Daddy. Sorry.
My aim is to make the humour smutty, but so kids could listen to it too. Do you think we got away with that one?
My kids would have no idea what we would do.
Yeah, anyway. Sorry, Matthew. 6 hours, 20 minutes and 55 seconds. And that will forever hold the title of the fastest World Ranges Way Ultra 44 miler, because next year they're reducing it to the 50K. Immortalised. I absolutely love it.
Let us know why that is. Probably land commission or something, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. 50K's got a nice ring to it, hasn't it, though? And it looked like everyone had a great time over on social media on their Facebook page. Kudos.
Talking of kudos, can you give more kudos? Double kudos.
I wish you could. Yeah, I'd love a double kudos.
Double kudos. They're really special double kudos. They're really special. And maybe like the golden buzzer on Britain's Got Talent, you can only give out like one a year on your Strava. So that when you get them, it's like, really, I'd have given you a double kudos for Manchester Marathon, or maybe just a shakeout run before Manchester Marathon, just to make you laugh. Anyway, double kudos to Sarah Perry, who finished the Southwest Coastal Path in the early hours of Monday morning after, this hurts me to read it, 13 days, 11 hours and 31 minutes. 630 is the actual, official mileage on the coastline, but actually it's 650. More, she says, this is her social media post, more ferries than she's ever been on in her entire life, and countless sunrises and sunsets. It's still to be verified, but she took off over 10 days off the previous self-supported female time and a new overall fastest female time, and slightly faster than the previous male-supported time too. What an adventure!
Oh, she loves an adventure. And this is the second attempt at this, if I'm correct. I'm sure it didn't go so well first time. So yeah, kudos Sarah, and kudos to all our Strava Club members. It's so inspiring. I really love it. There's over 2,000 people in our Strava Club now. Thank you so much for getting involved over there. Yeah, really inspiring seeing you getting it done week after week.
I think I'm inspiring a lot of people with my Strava the last couple of weeks. Those like 1.5 mile walks, I'm only Stravaing them to make myself feel better, because otherwise, I'm just going to turn into a lump.
It's super important, though, for people to see you recover like a pro. Not only racing like a pro, recovering like a pro, too.
You stop it. We've got some news from our friends over in Aurea Events talking about recovery, talking about my race, Northern Traverse. Did you see, Gary? Did you see? Sold out? Entry sold out? I wonder.
Wild. I love it.
Athletes, that is wild. That race sold out, 150 entries with about another 40 people on the waiting list. And I asked Shane, I was like, what's the chances of people on the waiting list getting a place? In case you are on the waiting list, I'm sure there are some people listening that are on the waiting list. And he says he's expect to offer most, if not all of the people on the waiting list. In fact, I know a couple of people who've already been offered a place from the waiting list in the next few months, because it's amazing how many people sign up, pay the deposit, and then when it actually comes to the big dollars and the actual thought of it, don't take up their place. And the other races I checked with him, they're going to be running as well. So if you're thinking it could be something you want to do, or maybe you've got some mates doing it and you want a bit of the action, but you don't want to commit to a big event like that, jump into one of their smaller races. And I love the fact that they are a bit of the smaller races. So I know the Moors Traverse, it was a field of about 30, 40. I think so. Also, if you're looking at dipping your toe into the ultra and you don't want a massive race as well, it might be a thing for you to do. I loved seeing the Lakes Traverse people out on the course during our race as well, and it was it was a joy. So if you signed up for the Northern Traverse, good luck.
You're going to love it.
You're going to love it. Listen to the podcast and how much I love it.
But don't think like the Moors Traverse is a lesser race. That would be sensational too. Any excuse to talk about the Lakeland 100 and Lakeland 50. As much as I love the 100, I think the 50 runners have a much more pleasant weekend.
Yeah, but the race, would you say the race like that 50 is hard? If you're racing it, I was absolutely smashed when I raced that 50. I was so sore and destroyed at the end of that race.
Well, I didn't appreciate how fast they were running until Neil McNichol came on the show, and I think he was in like 8 minutes a mile for his average pace, which was like, oh my goodness me, give me the north of 10 minutes.
Checkpoints.
Tales from the trails.
This is such a lovely Tales from the Trails. I love it. Hi, Gary and Eddie. Huge fan of the podcast. Thanks, buddy. So thought it was time to share my favourite tale from the trail. Apologise it's so long, but there's a lot to tell. Keep up the podcast. Joy and love is the highlight of my week. Last August, I ran my first 100 mile at the North Downs 100. Excellent choice. Tricky, but a good, solid support crew with Centurion. I don't know who was more nervous as I stood on that start line. Me, who was running the thing, or my mother, who was already crying that her 22-year-old child was going to break herself permanently. Oh, I'd been struggling with an injury since London Marathon training that year, but more on that later. And anyway, the race starts. The first half of the race is a mix of wild, crazy stories that if it wasn't still daylight, I would have convinced myself I'd imagined. I met a group on a stag do, ran with them for a bit, and even got an I'm on a stag do badge. Seeing my tiny cousin standing outside in the rain, it was the first named storm of the year that day, with signs asking how much longer when I was at mile 6. Sadly, quite a lot, I replied. But this story starts at mile 50. My dad had arranged to pace me through the night section. I use that word loosely as my goal was simply to finish, and Dad is not a frequent runner, more a concerned father who didn't want his only daughter running through some woods at night. I told him that we'd be at Jog Place with all the hills walk, so maybe we would do 20 miles. He ran 10 in training. Solid training, Dad. I like that. Oh dear. The night section was hell. I was in the second half of the pack and the rain was coming down thick and fast, so the trails were mud baths. I couldn't keep anything down and my whole body was entirely confused why I wasn't asleep, and my injury was starting to niggle. But I'd been slapping on heat gel since mile 30, very much adapting the quick fix method. Oh, and my mum had texted saying that the McDonald's that was on the route diversion now went right past had closed as the fryer had broken. Never heard of that. Not ashamed to say a few angry tears were shared over the loss of my McDonald's chips. By the time we got to where Dad was going to leave me, I was in an awful state. I hadn't put on enough layers, so was shivering like a wreck, had started hallucinating, in a lot of pain, and due to the storm was much further back than had planned. Dad's suggestion, continue on with me, just for a little longer. I think we all know where this is going. I want you to remind you again, this man had previously run 10 miles, but he ended up running the entire last 50 miles with me, even if I did have to leave him 5 miles before the end and push on, so I made it to the cutoff. It's no wonder where I get my determination or arguably stubbornness from. There are countless stories from those 50 miles, but the overriding one is that the time we will never have quality time like that again. I'm so fortunate to have parents who are so supportive and loving and will literally break themselves to make sure I'm not in harm's way. It's so easy to forget, and I must admit I was guilty of the power of a parent's love as I moved away to uni and now in my first big adult house show in London. But those many miles on the trails are some I will treasure forever. Dad had even kept the ice cream tub we had at the end, washed it out, and written the date of the race inside. Dad, I know I don't say it enough, but I love you, and thanks for being you. Lots of love, an almost fully grown adult daughter who still needs her dad, Emma Asprey. Oh, big love to you, Emma, and Daddy Asprey. He sounds like
Dad.
a legend. I think I could do with a bit of a 50-mile pacemaker. Hey, my
What
daddy,
story?
this, would you sign up for that 50 miles? You signed up for it, Edwina. You get on and do it. I'll definitely be at the end. But I will certainly not be doing that.
What a story. I love that. Thanks, Emma. Thanks. We love sharing your tales from the trails. Keep them coming. Please email them to hello@teaandtrails.com.
It's never going to get old. The printer story, I'm stepping away from now, but the hello, it's going to get me.
It was a cliffhanger. I had to edit the script today because there was not a 5-star review until I...
How can there not be? How can there not be? People,
I
what
know.
are you doing with all your time? It's a little click, just right. If you've already written one, perhaps you've listened to another 20 episodes. You've got something else to say. Perhaps you've got some wise advice for me, for Gary.
Some tips. I'm writing a 5-star review because this is an ace podcast and I'm nervously waiting for the Northern Traverse Race report to drop. Oh, I wonder if then the Apple Podcast thing didn't update in time because that episode has dropped. Keep doing what you are doing, guys. It's working. Richard, kiss, kiss. For Stock 29 by Apple Podcasts from the Netherlands. Whoa. Thank
You don't
you
need to be
very
nervous about the Northern Traverse race report. You know I survive, and that is the jeopardy. So enjoy it.
Yeah, you're
Sit back.
still here. Spoiler. Thanks for all your lovely comments over on Spotify too. And if you can spare a minute or two, it would be awesome if you left a lovely 5-star review. It helps loads, spread the word, and get our little podcast in front of more trail runners.
I think there's a lot of people that listen to it that aren't trail runners, Gary, as well. That
I
just
love the dates. I love the dates.
quite a few people just listen to it to go to sleep.
That is not the desired effect.
I don't care. I don't care what you're doing when you're listening to it.
True.
Anyway,
Just
move
download,
on,
leave a
move on.
review. We've got another competition this week. Well, I'm actually reviewing a pair of Suntour Wing headphones. So when I'm done reviewing them, they will be up for grabs for one of our legend Patreon tier and above members. Yeah, basically, as soon as I'm done with the review, we will pick a winner at random and I'll get them shipped ASAP.
You have to have a Sunto watch.
Nope. Suntour app. I'm pretty sure it goes with the app. Yeah, you don't have to have a Suntour watch. You know what? Yeah, there's a media option, so maybe you can work the
You
headphones.
should investigate that, especially.
Well,
if
I'm
you
doing
want
the review. I am doing the review. It's
Well, you put the verb reviewing, which means you're actually doing it at the moment, but I don't believe you started that review, Gary.
It
I
has
think
been unboxed. I've done a little unboxing video, but no, I'm not fully.
rather than unboxing video.
How big's your box? I still get people coming up to me. How big's your box, Gary?
Nobody would dare say that to me because the horror on my face would be like, it's so inappropriate.
Yeah, I don't mind. Oh, we've had a giggly hour.
To be silly. I mean, I think we're tired, and so it's just converted into silliness.
What's coming up? What have you got planned?
Oh, Gary, what can I have planned? I've got to wait to see. I'm hoping that the chiro and the sports therapist will work wonders on my foot and it'll feel a bit better. When the kids go back to school next week, I keep saying this magic will happen. I'm not sure what this magic will happen, but I'm hoping I'll get back into a bit of daily jogging, just some jogging for a month or so. I've got some adventures planned with mates who are going to do big like TDS and Swiss Peaks. They're going to be coming into the shape of their lives as I'm like and just about do 5K. But we want to do some recce's, and that's in June. So that's kind of like my race, as in it's obviously not a race because there'll be a lot of
Recce fit.
But recce fit, basically, I want to be so that we can do some like 50K hilly mountain days, basically. And we want to recreate our Chamonix to Morzine run again, which was...
Oh, that was yes. Yeah.
I know. But Gary, it's going to blow your mind. We're going to do it the other way. We're going to start in Chamonix and we're going to come back.
Wild.
I know. We're going to take a different route back to Morzine so that we can arrive in Morzine and maybe have a little bit of a party, you know? So I need to get sort of fit for a few summer adventures. So next week, hopefully the foot will feel a little bit better. Back to the gym, defo. 2, non-negotiable, Gary. 3, gold star. That is what the gym feels good, doesn't it? When you're a bit tired,
Yeah.
and gym feels good. And yeah, then I'm going to start thinking. I'm not rushing. I've got some ideas for plans for the future, but it's just in my head. It's not ready to come out yet, Gary. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to share.
Not even share it with me.
No, I haven't, because I'm not sure. Well, I'll tell you my 2 things. Do I want to do something mega again, which I love doing these mega things? Or do I want to do something really short and fast and actually do some running and training and get fast?
It's tough. I've wrestled this like after watching you do Northern Traverse and the whole London Marathon. And I've gone for short and fast. You know, I got seduced by both, and they're all so tempting.
I watched London Marathon. I was like, I want a piece of that now, Gary. I want a piece.
What's good for age for you? You'd be able to do that.
Yeah, I had good for age for a long time, but I've not done them. I think my last marathon was like 2018, 2019. Bryn and I ran the Annecy Marathon, where we did 3:10, I think, 3:08. So I got good for age, and then I didn't go.
Do you try and do good for age before? I think it's July you have to enter. So if you could do good for age before July, we could be on the start line together.
It'd be yeah. So I think it is much easier for a woman. I think it's 3:45 for a woman.
Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah, maybe I don't know where I don't know. The training for that marathon here was boring, Gary. It's boring, and it's going to go in the summer. I want to hike.
Yeah, it's not as much fun. I can vouch for that. But
anyway,
those times.
I'm still like, do I want to do maybe something faster? Well, I still got a very small amount of speed left in my legs that I could still, and then it would definitely. I noticed in Northern First didn't have any running ability. Anyway, what about you? We're kind of in the same place, aren't we? You're a couple of weeks. It just hasn't taken as much out of you, so you can actually
100%. Yeah, I can look at a bit more. I think this week, I might. I was going to do a workout today, but I might do tomorrow. If I don't do it, I'm pretty loosey-goosey at the moment, definitely for these 2 weeks. Looking at the Lakeland 100 plan with a bit more focus on it. Also got coming up, I'm sure, I can't remember what it was now, but maybe a month from now, the Old County Tops. So that is a super big day out training run for me. Yeah, and I was like 9-hour training run. That's going to wipe me out. But so just like yourself, I would like to be Old County. Recce fit. But yeah, just a bit more focus on the Lakeland 100. Maybe do a workout this week. If I don't, I think 2 weeks is completely fine. Yeah, a bit more running, back down the gym. And it's my son's birthday on Thursday. And part of his birthday present, he wants gym membership. It used to be Fridays. He gets him free on a Friday. But the guy from the gym rumbled us and he said, you're not supposed to go every Friday. It was like an introduction. So we've done really well, actually. And we're going to join the gym. So yeah, it'd be nice. We don't have to just go Fridays. We're not kind of wedded to a Friday gym session. That will be nice. A long run. I think I will do an easy long run. I'm not too sure if it's going to involve going to the lakes. Robbo has talked about a lake trip. Maybe I've got my weekends confused. But if not, we've got the lovely Castle Eden Dean. I can roughly do 10 miles and 2,000 feet of elevation. So it does apply.
I reckon that's my go-to for any race. If you can do 2,000 feet in 10 miles, you pretty much are on every English trail race.
You do. Not like Old County Tops and stuff like that, but definitely like the standard kind of hard moors. Well, I'll serve you well on a hard moors. So yeah, maybe do that in the Dean, get my lecky poles out, get those guns used to that. I had a big package. I know. And inside that big package was a new Camelback hydration vest. It's Apex Pro Run vest.
Now I'm very interested in this, Gary. I'm very
quiver too. Yeah, super curious.
What's the capacity?
Oh, goodness me. I don't know that. Literally just received it today. Looking at it, I'm pretty sure I could do the Lakeland 100 in it. So it's going to be like a 10-litre size.
Okay, because I was thinking about Northern Traverse and I've already started speaking to clients about Northern Traverse, and I found after the lakes, there's no water. There's no water. So I did run out of water a lot. And so I was thinking if I did again, or for my lovely coachees that are doing it again, I would want to have the ability to carry. So I had extra bottles in my belt.
Yes.
But I don't really like that. So I would prefer to, I was thinking, oh, maybe if I put camel pack and then just the 2 bottles.
They were the OG, weren't they, of hydration vests? But that tradition, like you say, like a bladder and not the bottles.
But I'd have bladder and bottles.
Yeah.
So also then, it gives you more variety as well of like, you could have water, you could have Coke, and then you could have electric. You could have a real, I mean, I know I could do this all with the bottles as well. I'm just thinking of like an easier way and without having the belt, which annoyed me after a while. And I forgot that. I got really bad tummy ache with the belt.
I do not need any more hydration vests personally, so that will probably end up
Don't give it to a competition then yet. Let me look at it first, all right? These Patreons, they're having everything.
And that's it. Nice cruisy week with a bit more focus.
And then you better start training, otherwise we can't do another I'm still recovering podcast. I think people will be like, come on, you guys, pull your finger out.
I am super pumped though for London 2025 though. On a high after Manchester, and then just being seduced again with all the lovely pictures and images from London.
It's funny that because you were pretty seduced by Northern Traverse the week after, but you walked away from that very quickly. You were like, yeah, I'm entered, and I raised one eyebrow. Like,
with knowledge of doing these big races, the toll it takes on your body. So for me to be on the start line of a race like, no, basically, if I was to do Northern Traverse any year with the time of year it is, that would compromise maybe Lakeland. Yeah.
Oh, I think so. Because you'll be fine by Lakeland 100 time comes round, but you won't have had much time to do any training.
Yeah.
Unless
so I just need to be a bit cool with these fingers and don't go entering stuff. But yeah, like we've talked about Lakeland 100, and then end of September, the 13 Valleys. So I'm going to be proper pooped for that race too. So yeah, I'm just being
That's fine. Because when we go on our Lecky training camp, I can absolutely destroy you.
Oh yeah, literally. So yeah, 13 Valleys and straight.
I'm going to just train for that. I'm going to ask what routes we're going to go and actually go and recce them as well, and then just absolutely destroy. People be like, I thought Gary was good, and I'm going to go,
we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Come on, Jane. Come on, Jane. Come on, Stabs. You right, Beth? Oh no, don't worry. That's Gary. No, don't worry.
The old age pensioner. I think I am probably the oldest in the group, aren't I? Oh, can't wait.
Right, let's go. Let's finish this off. Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration and Silver Sweden for sponsoring this week's show. Don't forget, use code CAPSLOCK224 for 15% off your first order with Precision Fuel and Hydration. Thank you to our partners and patrons too. We couldn't do this without you and your ongoing support. And it is snowing again. What the devil? It's almost May, Gary. Oh my God.
I'm jealous. I don't know why. I'm quite jealous of it.
Glad I'm not going to go outside now. No. I'm lighting the fire.
It's quite nice, isn't it? See, you're recovering. It's like, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We're going to watch Iron Man 2, Gary. That's the dream.
Oh, yes. I love a Marvel.
I love a Marvel. Just on my limit of a little bit scary, but not too scary.
Iron Man 2, because the other superheroes tend to make a cameo appearance in lots of these.
Yeah, we watched Spider-Man something or other, and they did, and that has led us on. We finally found something that everybody will watch and everybody will enjoy. Our ongoing ever battle of like only 75% of the family wanting to watch the movie. So, but
do you ever get invested in? I do not know. I can't even remember the guy who plays Spider-Man, his name in real life, but I heard him and his girlfriend split up, and I thought I don't know them, but I just thought they made a really nice couple. I was quite upset when they split up.
Oh.
I don't know why. They might be terrible people.
No, I have no investment in celebrity couples, though I do love a Heat magazine at an airport. I will admit that is my guilty. Diet Coke and a Heat magazine on a flight. Oh my God.
Stay classy, Edwina. Stay classy. And on that bombshell, be kind to your future self. Breathe and believe. Progress, not perfection. And keep your shield high. Hope you all have a great weekend, whether you're training or racing. go and smash it. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 68 of the Tea and Trails podcast.